What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, continuing my deep dive into the Grateful Dead's live discography. Currently focused on 1989. Been doing a bunch of the officially released 1989 shows. Today I'm going to discuss Truckin' Up to Buffalo, a full show from the 4th of July, Independence Day here in the States, 1989. And this is a very 4th of July vibin' show. Yes, we get the obvious U.S. blues closer, but we get party energy. We get fun energy. We get the band having a good time. It's a 3 CD release. There is a DVD component. Pretty sure you can get them separately, though I do have both. And if you have the DVD or you watch the DVD, I'm pretty sure it's also up on YouTube. The band is having a great time. Jerry is all smiles. A couple times, like during Not Fade Away, he's got a like pushing back thing. He's got some fist pumping. There's smiles everywhere. And you can kind of hear the smiles in the music. This is a really strong, feel-good show. That being said, what it lacks, and it's something that I noticed immediately upon looking at the set list anytime I listen to this, is it doesn't really have those sort of jazz psych improvisational jams that are sort of the trademark of the Dead. First set lacks anything like a Stranger or a Let It Grow or a Music Never Stopped or a Cassidy or a Random Shakedown or anything in which the band could really get out there and jam. And the second set kind of lacks the same. The closest thing we get to anything that's really any sort of like out there space jam, not space, but that jam where they just kind of, jump out and see what happens, is a Playing in the Band reprise, in which prior to the actual reprise and coming out of the actual reprise, you get some sort of, for lack of a better, like type 2 type jamming where we're not just a solo, we're kind of creating our own environment. But it's not a lot. It's very, very little. This show is about the solos, the energy, the vocal performances, the sound of the band. Jerry's killing it on all of his solos. Midland in particular on keys. Flavor Town, like he is dropping just eyebrows all over the place. So many juicy fills. His solos are fantastic. Bob's rhythm work is great. Phil, of course, sounds fantastic. The drummers sound fantastic. The band is having a good time. We're just lacking those deep, deep jams. 2 discs. I said 3 earlier. This is all on 2 discs. The entire thing fits on 2 discs. And in fact, set 1 fits on the first disc, and we even have room for 15 minutes of set 2. So it's a relatively short first set. Opens with a Bertha, Greatest Story, Cold Rain and Snow opening trifecta. Cold Rain and Snow is essentially an opening number by this point. So to have it come third is just special. It feels like we're getting an extra treat. Bertha, really high energy. The band is really leaning into those sort of boom, like bass drops and those dramatic sort of changes in the middle of the song before they go back and like the vocals. Really living up the rock angle of this. You can tell they're hyped. Crowd is hyped. It's a 4th of July vibe. You can hear it in the Bertha. Go into a really good Greatest Story. Jerry's bringing as much psych energy as he can to these solos. He's got the effects. He's got just that Jerry psych playing. Even though these are pretty much like straightforward solos, Jerry's getting dirty and getting nasty, getting kind of psyche in there. And then we go into a Cold Rain and Snow, which is just, it feels like the party is still kicking off. It feels like, oh, we're not into the meat of the first set yet. We're still in these sort of like opening ceremonies. And the Cold Rain just is amazing. That middle jam, when they play the written lines and then there's maybe a little like Jerry solo in, it's fantastic. It's really loose. Feels like they're just kind of jamming it out a little bit. And this is one of those songs, I like the way it sounds in this era. It's been around for a while. I thought maybe in like the late 70s, it was a little too thin sounding at times. These Cold Rain and Snows have muscle. They have size. I think they work really well in this sort of big stadium environment. It's still kind of streamlined and psyche in the best way possible, but the big sound, I think, really helps Cold Rain and Snow. And this opening combo, just sets the energy bar super high. And it's an excellent, excellent start to the show. We get a Walkin' Blues next, which is not my favorite of the Bob blues songs, but it's a well-played Walkin' Blues. If you like Walkin' Blues, you're going to like this version. Really good Row Jimmy. Garcia's solos are super, super tasty in here. Just every single note. I mean, you can tell he's enjoying himself. You can tell he's into this song. You can tell he likes playing it. Just a really, really tasty, kind of patient, well-played, middle of the first set, Row Jimmy. Bob follows with the When I Paint My Masterpiece, another one in which love this Dylan cover. I think Jerry's solo, as short as it is, just kind of stands out. Jerry's on fire. We get a Stagger Lee. Always a treat to hear a Stagger Lee. This jam has some dark vibes in it. Stagger Lee, I think always Jerry would lean into the darker energy in his solos, and it's definitely there. Kind of aggressive. The closing jam is absolutely fantastic. Probably the darkest energy of the first set is this Staggered Lee. We get a Looks Like Rain. Much rather hear it at the end of the first set than anywhere in the second set. Really strong Looks Like Rain. Again, Jerry's playing is fantastic. And then we get a Deal to close out. And this Deal, Jerry is going psych. He's getting trippy in that solo. He's absolutely shredding. The climax at the end is just high energy, just going for broke. They like what seems like a peak. They like volcanic peak the jam, and then they drop it down for the closing, like the closing solos, you know, where they kind of repeat the closing solos over and over and over and allow it to build back up before they end the set. Fantastic Deal. Like, this is Deal in its peak form. Closing the first set, late 80s. Like this song has found its purpose in life. And this is a fantastic Deal. Really fun, well played, high energy, solid set one. Set two doesn't really capitalize on that and like, hey, now let's take this energy and jump off into like space and go way out there. Because all of these songs are pretty controlled. But they're really, really strong versions of them. Touch of Grey opens. This, I think, is better if you watch the DVD because you can see how much fun the band is having playing this and how happy everybody is. Just the vibes are incredible. Smiles all over the place. Solid Touch of Grey. We get a Man Smart, Woman Smarter. Nice low-key build in the beginning as they let the song just kind of simmer before we start the vocals. Really a nice intensity to the jam. Phil's bringing it, kind of stands out. Towards the end of it, we kind of bring the energy back down to kind of let it ride out as we simmer. Doesn't really reach those dark exploratory corners that many other second set songs would bring and estimated to play in, even in Uncle John's and that crazy middle jam. But it's a fun song. They don't play it that often. It works really well with the energy of the show. Works really well with like a 4th of July crowd. Next, we get a Ship of Fools. Jerry's singing this like crazy. The star here is Jerry's vocals. I don't think this is a second set song. I always wish they'd put this in the first set. I always found it odd that Ship of Fools found its home essentially in pre-drum second set, but we get a solid performance of it. Then we go into the Playing in the Band reprise, which is a callback to a show, the previous show, which was like 2 days earlier. We're finally wrapping up that Playing in the Band, interestingly enough. And then we go into a Terrapin Station. Absolutely fantastic Terrapin. That section between the lady with the fan and the weird "since the end is never told," that weird spacey section, Midland's keys are fantastic. He goes on a couple really, really tasty runs. But that middle section is really kind of just has that nice trippy energy. They kind of, are getting a little psych trippy in that part for the limited time they have. But this Terrapin is just clicking. It's got good flow. It's got good energy. Everything's working about it, working for it. It's what you want for a Terrapin Station. Drums, we get a space. There's bells being played, I think, at the end of drums, or I don't know if they're actual bells or they're like electronic drums. There's a Christmas vibe to the drum space, like right when drums is ending and space is picking up and that bleed over happens. There's a Christmas vibe there. I'm making this video like what we counted today, 9 days before Christmas. Maybe I just have Christmas on the brain, but I was picking up Christmas vibes in the drum space segue. Space is solid and eases its way gently into "And I Will Take You Home," the Midland ballad. Never been a favorite song of mine. Don't really like the lyrics. Like, I don't think you can find another example in the Dead catalog of lyrics that are this literal, that aren't allegorical in some way or metaphorical in some way or express their love through some weird different kind of story. To just have a song written for another person without any sort of conceit to wrap it up in, it's not a very Dead-like trait as far as their songwriting goes. So it's always just stood out as not being a Dead song, and I know that's horrible. Midland's a fantastic artist, but I don't really like this song. But it's here. It's a good version. Jerry's guitar playing always kind of is the salvation of this. That goes into a Watchtower. Fantastic Watchtower. Jerry is in full-on shred mode. He is going for broke. He's not trying to sound like Hendrix, but he's trying to match Hendrix's intensity in this Watchtower. Absolutely amazing. Some really nice like bending of the notes as he like shreds, bends, and just gets every ounce of energy he can get out of those 6 strings. That goes into a Morning Dew. Like the Terrapin, they're just hitting all the changes like they should. The middle solo in here is particularly fiery, particularly impassioned by Jerry. His vocals are particularly impassioned, like he's nailing it. The closing solo has a really nice build to it, but it is relatively short, and it does seem at some point where Jerry's just like, he goes from, like, we're missing like a middle transition section from the slow opening build to the climactic chaotic finale, and it seems like usually we reach this other plateau before we finish. This one, we get like the really nice casual, let's build the song, to all of a sudden it just seems like Jerry's like, we're going for it, guys. We're going for the end. And then he walks up and sings the closing lyrics. So other than what for me is a disappointing Morning Dew, the closing solo, it just seems like this show at this point needed a little more, just because we really don't have any long jams. Morning Dew could have been the thing that was like, put this show over the top for me, but it doesn't. Though I do like the overall performance. And Phil and Bob at the end are fantastic. Bob is playing these really like sliding chords, and Phil's just doing, I don't know, he's doing weird Phil stuff, but as Jerry's building the song, works perfectly. Absolutely fantastic. Then we go into a Not Fade Away. The middle jam, which is pretty much the only jam we get out of this, is just Jerry and Brent trading licks. Jerry does something on guitar, Brent does something on organ or keys. They go back and forth for a while. We go back into the vocals. We finish the song out with a lot of audience participation. Pretty straightforward, Not Fade Away. And then we close out for, I guess, what is the obligatory U.S. Blues for a July 4th show. Really, really, really strong show. Like, the performances are absolutely fantastic. Like, my complaints are Morning Dew could be more. Not that it's bad, but it could be more. I want more jams. They're not here. We don't get another one. We don't even get like a post-Truckin jam, which maybe we're going to go into a blues song. There's, other than the Playing in the Band reprise, which seems like so out of left field, it almost seems like it doesn't even belong in this show. It seems like they could have gone Ship of Fools straight into Terrapin, or maybe Playing in the Band out of space. Other than that, it's solid show. Where would I rank it among the other shows that I've already done in 1989? It's my least favorite so far, only because of the lack of jams. All of those others have something that I'm like, man, that second set or that pre-drums, man, that sequence of 3 or 4 songs, have some kind of let's go out there and explore type thing. This is the only one that does it. Though I enjoy this show, which kind of is a testament to how strong 89 has been and how strong these releases are. And this really is, I would argue, in the band's sort of final days, 89, 90 is sort of their last apex before they start the gradual slide to just still a great band at the end, but you know, once Midland goes, the Welnick years have their moments, but this is peak Dead. as far as the 80s and early 90s go. It's a good listen. It's just lacking the things I'm looking for. But all right, but that's it. That's all I got. Subscribe, like, share, comment. If you check out this show, let me know. If you want to see it on YouTube, the whole thing is on YouTube. It is a good watch. It is a good listen. It's a fun, fun show. Trucking up to Buffalo. Check out the Dead. And yeah, peace. Talk to you later.